And we're live. Hey guys, thanks for being with us today on this fabulous Wednesday. Hope you all are having a wonderful, wonderful day, evening, morning, wherever you are. Thanks for being here. We got Toni with us as well. Thanks for joining us, Toni.
Hello, everyone.
And yeah, so already in the chat, we've got Salvaging Truth, Third Eye Trader, Bridget K. Thanks for being here.
And we're live.
And
Hey guys.
yeah, so just to give a little introduction for Toni, she's graciously given her time for us to us each week, which we're very grateful for. But she's a certified detox specialist under Dr. Morse, trained under Dr. Morse, who's spent his at least the later half of his life pursuing health in the detox field, really exploring fruit as our main source of food and detoxing, and just how we can really get back to that simple truth of what we need to be consuming in order to be healthy and vibrant and live long and happy lives. So Toni's taken that wisdom that she's learned, and she's dedicated her like I don't even know how she has enough time in the day to do all that she does. But she helps so many people who contact her to help get them on this path of healing. And it's really not about relying on anyone else, but it's about relying on our own body and just removing all of the toxic layers in between ourselves and our body's ability to heal itself. So that's a little introduction for Toni. She's yeah, thanks again for being here. We're really grateful for it.
Well, thank you, Justin. A funny thing, I was just thinking about what Dr. Morse always said. He said, whatever dis-ease you have, whatever symptom you have, there is one solution, and that is fruit, berries, melons. And that's it. So we can say as a catch-all, okay, you have a problem, fruit, berries, and melons. But yeah, he does explain it a little further why that is the case in with whatever symptoms you have. But that is where you eventually want to go to. So it just came up. The funny thing was, when I was on one of his live classes, they had these what is it, classes, like where you can put a lid on, and you have a handle, and it had fruit, berries, and melons on the front. So I'm daily reminded.
Just curious, why does he distinguish between berries and melons why not just say fruits? It's just like why add that extra?
Every fruit has its own it's they're not all the same what is the word, astringent. And the berries, and he considers a grape a berry, so the grape comes first as the most healing, then comes the watermelon, then maybe the apple, and with fruits, and lemon, of course. And people do ask, like, okay, but what does he mean with fruits? And I was like, well, everything that's not a melon or a berry. But it's I've heard him say that hundreds of times. It's always going back to that. So whatever you have, whatever your worry is, it's like, we can keep the call really short.
Quick answer.
But it's whatever is going on, always look at your diet. If you say I'm 80% raw, I'm 80% fruit, okay, what's the rest? Cooked food, oils,
for
what is in it?
Greasy fried things for 20% of our diet, that's gonna mess it up.
Well, that is often the problem, because a lot of people say, oh, but I'm a vegan, or I'm a raw vegan. And then I made that mistake. I was a raw vegan, and I was eating a lot of plant proteins and lots of nuts and seeds, lots of them. And even though they were all soaked, they were sprouted, I was not healing. And it took me a while before I figured out that was it. Well, actually, it was Dr. Morse who pointed that out, that that's not helping when you want to heal.
Yeah, I mean, there was if any of y'all follow John Kohler and OK Raw, his channel, he did an interview with some guy who had his colon removed, and he claimed that he was raw vegan. But you come to find out that he was a pretty extremist as far as what he ate, and he would eat just like pounds of nut butters all the time and things of that nature. So we can call ourselves raw vegans and but still be eating lots of foods that really don't serve us well, especially, nuts and seeds. They're okay in small quantities if we're not detoxing, but if you're detoxing, they can really complicate things. And if you're eating too many of them, they really are quite difficult to digest. So it's just really important to remember that, it's the fruits, it's the fruits that's the way. But just wanted to note on that.
Well, I just learned there are a lot of different diets that all fall under what is it, the raw food idea.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean it's, what you just said, doesn't mean it's healthy.
Right.
And but we'll learn. I mean, it's even that daily spoonful of olive oil that can set you back. For
Mhm.
another person, it won't make a difference. For me, it makes a difference. For my husband, it doesn't make a difference at all. You can do it, but we come from a different, what is it, health? How do you say that?
Starting
We
point.
ate this, we ate the same thing for, most of our lives. I mean, we were always into healthy eating,
Mm.
not realizing it wasn't so healthy. So including way back when I was eating a lot of brown rice because that was so healthy, and the breads because that was healthy. And my gosh, I gained so much weight then, and not knowing where it came from. And now it's like we learn all this, and even the people who are underweight, overweight, blood sugar problems, whatever there is, it's always look at your diet.
Yep. That's where you got to start.
Yeah. Okay, I had a question that I missed last week, and of course, where did I put it? Well, I'll find it at some point. There was a question about a gallbladder. From Melva, I already answered her privately, but I think it is a good question, and it is about the gallbladder problem. And the same goes, look at your diet, leave all the fats out. And the funny thing is, when you want to do a gallbladder and a liver flush, you have to drink a lot of oils actually, and to get the stones out, to clean it out.
Mm.
But after that, better not use any oils. I've had my gallbladder removed when I was only 19 years old.
Wow.
And that was extremely unusual. And I had a thyroid problem. I had been on medication for that way back. And they took out my gallbladder, and I didn't know until many years later that I actually did not have a gallbladder anymore. So, and nowadays they still take out the gallbladder. If you mention you have a little pain, it's like, oh, let's remove it. It's again, the diet, start with changing your diet, and take out all the meat, dairy, eggs, beans, what is it? The beans, the grains, of course, and the cooked and the fermented and the processed foods. Now, cooked isn't so bad if you would do
Steaming.
steaming. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is because it keeps more of the nutrition. And but it's like if you want to detox, steaming will slow it down. Steamed food, and I'm thinking about asparagus, sweet potato. So those are the things that do slow it down. So if you want to really detox and get healthy, then try to transition to the all fruit. And I think we all you have it yourself. And I think what is his name? Carrie, vegetable, please.
Casey.
Casey. I was close.
Yeah.
Well, he also mentioned what he has been going through, and we all made the mistake to go into everything too fast. And I keep getting questions like, shall I start right away with a juice fast? And it's like, no, you can, but you won't feel so good. Just go slow, because you don't want to do a juice fast. Say you do a juice fast for 7 days and you like it and you still feel good. You do it for 14 days. Then after 14 days, what are you going to do? You go back to what you were doing before? So no, that is not working. I have to look something, find something, Justin, if you can.
Yeah, well, I'll just comment on the juice fasting aspect. I think it's really just about what do you how do you want to go about it? Because there is the sort of more gradual approach of detoxing, which is arguably easier to one extent because you're not taxing your body nearly as much, and it's not going to be nearly as uncomfortable. But it will take longer. So there is that approach, and then if you do want to go harder into it and do it a little faster, I think juice fasting is a great tool to sort of accelerate that process, but you do have to be prepared for those quite uncomfortable symptoms. Like I said, in my first juice fast around like day 10 or so, I mean, I felt horrible. I felt so nauseous. The thought of juice just made me repulsed, and yeah, it felt really bad. And this is fortunately, I had a group of people some were experiencing the same. Someone had experienced it a couple days earlier or had done other juice fast. So I had other people to bounce that experience off of. But that's a very common symptom of the candida diet. And so if we're coming from a diet where we're eating cooked foods and things that our body can't easily digest, we invited candida and other parasites into our. When we switch to fruit, and juices and things of that nature, then it makes it makes those parasites start to die off, and they don't go quietly into the night. They kind of throw a fit when they do die off, and so the reactions can vary from nausea to ulcers. Like I had really bad mouth ulcers for a while, and so there were definitely a lot of uncomfortable things to it, but I'm still more of the style to just kind of dig into it and get it over with quicker. So I personally would still advocate for the juice fasting if you do want to go that route, but just know what you're getting into. We get to choose our experience in any given moment, and it's good to weigh all options for sure.
Yeah, I think the important part is that it's a change in lifestyle.
Yes, absolutely.
You can't go back to hamburgers and pizzas and who knows what.
Right.
Fries.
Yeah,
you don't want, well, and actually you don't want to, because I can tell you it's gonna hurt. It will hurt.
Yeah.
But that is usually the best way to learn, because we get to talk to a lot of people who think like, nah, I can handle that. It's not that bad. But your body is changing. When you are on all fruit, so many things start changing. We have spoken about fermentation, and one of the most popular things, and I get asked this so many times, is about kombucha. When it first came out and I tried it out, and I thought, oh, that's delicious, especially when it's cold. And so yeah, I had been using it for a few years. Now you see a big aisle with kombucha. Now, Lauren Whitman wrote something about what kombucha is, and I want to read this to you. And it is made from a black or a green tea with sugar added, which is then fermented with the use of a SCOBY. SCOBY is a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. We strive to avoid fermentation inside of our bodies because we know that if something is fermenting, it is creating alcohols, which is harmful to our cells, and it is not being properly digested. Fermentation is rot, R-O-T, rot. So fermented foods, drinks are rotten foods and drinks. And we don't want to consume rotten foods or drinks. We also don't want to consume bacteria or yeast. When we strive for health, we strive to remove all conditions which create bacteria and yeast inside our system. So adding in additional foreign bacteria, yeast, goes again what we are striving for in a healthy terrain. In adding to kombucha being rotting food and supplying the body with bacteria and yeast, it also contains caffeine. Caffeine is a harsh stimulant which can lead to anxiety, lack of sleep, heart palpitation, general lack of ease, and damages our adrenal glands. Caffeine is a highly addictive drug which should be avoided if health is our goal. Caffeine also leads to fatigue as it overstimulates the body. And with any overstimulation, there comes a crash. So I think that it's important to understand what exactly kombucha does to the body. And it is the same with, you consume bacteria and yeast. Why would you want to bring that into your body? That's the same with probiotics. That's something else that is so popular and so unneeded. And for people who cannot get rid of the coffee, caffeine leads to a big problem with your adrenals, and then it leads to being tired and having anxiety, and there's a lot of anxiety. And I'm happy that I stopped with coffee when I did, because I was a coffee drinker. Stronger the better. And that was in years when I first traveled from the Netherlands to the United States. You couldn't buy a decent cup of coffee here, back in the 80s. Now it's all over the place and with all kinds of additives to it. And it seems everybody wants to drink it. So that is the first thing to go. I spoke with someone who I told her, first drink your orange juice and then the coffee. But she was doing the coffee first and then the orange juice. Well, I can assure you, if you do your orange juice first, you don't want the caffeine, but because it tastes really bad.
Well, and you give your body a chance to wake up before you start pouring toxic chemicals into it. That seems at least like gradually, well, it's never a good idea in general, but at least gradually warm up to the idea of consuming that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's like with both of those things, the kombucha and the coffee, like kombucha on a lesser extent, but like you said, you got a whole aisle full of it. When we have something that's so heavily pushed by organized society, you have a coffee stand everywhere, it's such a normalized approach to see people walking down the street with a cup of coffee in their hands, or everyone's going to get coffee. It's just a normal thing. And then the kombucha, it's everywhere. You can get kombucha. And whenever something like that becomes to be pushed by organized society to that scale, like that's when you that's when you have to question it. That's when you say, something's probably not right here. There's probably something detrimental to my health, or some sort of nefarious aspect. And it's unfortunate that we have to look at things that way, but until we kind of right the ship with how this world is structured, which that's happening, but we're still getting there, we've got to really be questioning these things. And that's just an easy indicator. So run the other direction when organized society is pointing you one way.
Okay, I have to tell you that we have a really bad storm going on right now. So okay. If I disappear, you know why.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, I didn't just run. There was a question I missed last week, and that was actually from Amy, and she said she heard you talk about this before, but not in great detail. And I'm also finding that the more I juice feast, the less I feel the pressure to need to take a shower or wash my hair. My long hair is so soft and silky right now, and whenever I wash it, it feels like such a chore because it's so tangly and hard to comb out whenever I wash it, even if I use an organic shampoo and conditioner, which I have been doing for at least 5 years now. So my question is, are we even supposed to bathe, shower, and wash our hair regularly? I'll answer it first because I do have experience with it. I don't know if you have, but I did. About 8 years ago, I had heard about that. Just don't wash your hair. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to wash it for a while. And that was in the same time that I was visiting my family in the Netherlands. And I had not washed my hair. And I thought it was soft. And the funny thing is, it started to curl again. So, and it felt great. But my family, when I told them, even though it looked good, they were like, you're not supposed to do that. We are so brainwashed that we have to use all these chemicals to clean ourselves. And yeah, I can see where you want, when you want to clean your hair or bathe, is just use water. And that is what I still do, just use water. And it cleans sufficiently, and if you are on a healthy diet, you don't have any odors, so
Exactly.
you don't need to worry about it. And actually, like what Amy is saying, that our hair is so much more beautiful, soft and silky. I mean, who doesn't want soft and silky hair? So no, we don't need to take a shower every day. But, some people, I know a friend of mine, he needs to shower twice a day. He's a meat eater and he loves his milk. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, body odor is it has a direct correlation to what we consume. I mean, if you just imagine if you're eating death and animal products and things, you're just excreting rotten waste from these rotting foods that are accumulating in our bodies. So of course you're going to stink. But again, if you get onto that alkaline diet, then you're not going to. And the same with washing your hair. I don't really wash my hair very often at all. Like I'll rinse it in the shower sometimes, if I feel like there's actually dirt in it, then I'll rinse it out, but it's really not necessary. And I use mostly water. If I feel like I want to get some extra cleansing, I'll use baking soda, but I haven't really been using that much of that either. And yeah, I don't smell. I don't ever get comments from anybody. I probably shower maybe like, I don't know. It really varies. It really just depends on my activity level, how much I've been sweating or just getting dirty. But I don't shower that often either. Yeah, maybe like once a week. It's wild to just imagine like switching to this lifestyle, but it really just makes everything that much easier. The simpler we get with what we consume, we just don't have to worry about all these things and buying products and smelling, all that kind of stuff. It just all naturally figures itself out. So yeah, that's great that way.
Yeah, we think we have certain habits that are normal, like the showering or bathing every day. And it's like when I think back to my childhood and even teen years, it was a once a week thing, We took a bath once a week and that was that. And nobody ever, considered that not being enough. But it's a big industry. Let's be clear about that. It's a huge industry. If you look at the aisles with all the stuff and you start reading the labels, oh my gosh, you don't want to do that to your body. The thing always is, and I've been saying that probably for the last 20 years, is like, if you can't eat it, don't put it on your body.
Right.
It is just that simple.
Yeah, well, and then on the shampoo they say rinse or lather, rinse, repeat. Just so you use more shampoo. Like,
yeah,
they're just trying to sell you stuff. And then you look further into it and you find some of the chemicals that they use in those products are just byproducts of manufacturing industries of chemicals that they can't dispose of other ways. So they're like, oh, well, why don't we just sell it to people and have them lather these toxic things all over themselves and kill two birds with one stone. It's just it's all bad. It's all bad stuff.
The rain is so loud here, I can barely hear you.
Okay.
And I love rain. So,
Yeah, big storms are fun.
you just mentioned something about using baking soda, and there was actually a while ago was a question, and I had answered her personally, was what is the best time to consume baking soda and water? And I already knew that it wasn't a good idea to do that on a daily basis. And so I found Dr. Morse talking about that. And his answer is really plain and simple. There can be times that you feel that you need it when you have an upset stomach. And but you have to think about what it's doing to your body. It wrecks the balance in your body. You don't want to use it. It
Mhm.
really messes up the balance. So that was his really short answer. And I don't know if that is sufficient. If that is sufficient, but the thing is, you cannot alkalize your body by putting in an alkalized product.
No.
It doesn't work that way. You first have to take out all the other acidic and mucus forming foods, then you start alkalizing your body. So don't try it with extra other products. It's not needed. So I can see when where it messes up the balance.
Yeah, I mean, I like to envision alkalinity in the body is just ease. It's just the ease of things flowing. So when we consume things that are easy to digest, it just allows the body to flow smoothly. Everything functions properly. Nothing that's having to be real like grindy. But when we eat acid forming foods, they're extremely difficult to process. So our body has to do all of these different things to get it into some form where it can actually use it. And the more that it has to exert itself, the more that it's giving off heat and byproducts and causing that acidity. So alkalinity is all about ease. It's not about, like Toni said, it's not about consuming things that are alkaline. It's about consuming things that are easy for the body to process. And fruit is the easiest to process.
There is nowadays you hear a lot about food shortages. So I do get emails about what would you do? And my first thing is I don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have not, well, yeah, I can say I have not seen it. The only, and I think I mentioned that before, the only times that I see, or the only things that I see that look a little like empty shelves are the ones that have the canned soups and the canned veggies and some of that really weird smelling bread. And, but that's pretty much it. I have not seen a shortage in produce. But winter is also coming, so that would be for a lot of people the next question, especially if you live further north. It's like, how can you eat raw or fruit when you live up north and it's cold? And I always thought that was like, okay, it's cold outside, I'm inside. You have the same temperature as you have during the summer, at least I do. And well, not quite. I keep my temperature in the summer at 77 and in the wintertime maybe at 70, 72 because you wear different clothes.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like, oh, I'm so cold, I need to have a hot food. Drink a cup of hot tea. So that one was for me like, you don't need the hot food. And you already mentioned how you can heat it up with putting it on the stove and stir it with your finger until you feel it's getting nice and warm, and there you have your warm food and it's still raw. Mm-hmm. But now I was thinking more about what to stock up. How can you stock up food for wintertime? Well, it's still you still have a lot of fruits available, whatever is in season. So what you can do is you can freeze them. I mean, frozen fruits, they are great to use in a smoothie. And if you want to have a green drink, then you can use frozen leafy greens like spinach. You can freeze that yourself. And you can freeze any of your favorite greens. Just make sure that you do it the right way. So it lasts longer than a few weeks because it needs to last at least a few months. My second choice is dehydrated fruits, and especially the mangoes.
Mm.
But you can do apples, pineapples, dragon fruit even. There are a lot of options that you can do, but you have to either hydrate it again or you have to drink sufficient water. And it's actually a great experiment. Now the fruit is still in season, and use a dehydrator. They're not really that expensive. The other option is freeze-dried meals, but if I see the prices, I think that is totally ridiculous. But I know how much it takes to freeze-dry things, and I have considered buying a freeze-dryer, but those things here in the US are around $3,000.
Wow.
But the food keeps for 25 years. And,
Mm.
if I look at things now, and it was like, I was thinking about buying a freeze dryer, probably 5, 6 years ago. I still haven't done it. Freeze dried food, and even if you have it, you have to buy it, because you can actually buy whole meals, your whole meals that are freeze dried. It's whatever you prepare, you can freeze dry it. It doesn't even matter if it's cooked food. Well, it matters for us because we want to be raw.
Mm.
But you can freeze dry a lot of things, and you can also buy powdered freeze dried fruits, which you can then mix with water, and there you have your smoothie. And it is actually the better one to use your fruit, because it keeps most of the nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other option is the powdered fruits and greens, and like superfoods. And Dr. Morse has a superfood explosion. There are many options. You can even buy powdered apples and bananas and berries and greens, and you can make all kinds of things with it. The easiest way is just put it in water, but yeah, you have to be creative.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and I totally forgot something to mention, that is the sprouts and the microgreens.
Mm.
And they are very easy to do, and they are very cheap. And so, yeah, I do have a bag full of, for instance, alfalfa seeds to sprout. And there you can get all kinds of seeds. And they keep in sprouting. I don't know if you've ever done that, sprouting these seeds. It only takes a few days, and you
Yeah,
have
it's
a
pretty
meal.
simple. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Now it's I do have, from way back, I have cans, organic soups in cans, and before I knew better. Beans, of course, they had a lot of them come with beans, and with the lentils and the black beans and the chili, and they're all long over the date now. I still have them. I haven't thrown them out yet. But it is, when there is nothing available, what would you do? Yeah, we all know we have a choice. We can fast. We can fast for a while. We can live on water for a while. But yeah, it's not easy to do. So when it comes to it, then I can see where you would want to make a choice for staying alive, that you would get to canned food. But yeah, you have a risk of getting sick again.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your view on that?
Well, I think that's a good point. If we're coming from a clean diet and then we have to eat canned food or something like that in an emergency situation, and we end up getting sick from it, are we putting more tax on the body than if we just had not eaten it? So it's certainly something to be considered. But I would just add, Charlie's mentioned, having a root cellar. So it's essentially just digging a hole in the ground and covering it, and you can store hardier fruits like apples and pears and things of that nature, all year for months at least, that way. And it's a sort of natural way. It doesn't cost anything. You just have to have a hole in the ground. And there are a bunch of videos you can watch to do that successfully. So that's one method to stock up on things and preserve things. And then you can also you wouldn't want to eat a ton of them, but nuts and seeds do preserve very well. So if you needed to have some supplies on hand and you need to dig into something, having a handful of nuts and seeds is going to give you um, a little sustenance. Again, you wouldn't want to be eating that all the time, but it's something that would preserve very well. And then yeah, like Tony mentioned, having a bunch of sprouting seeds like those will last if you store them right indefinitely, and then you've got unlimited growing potential as long as you have just water and sunlight. Um, so yeah, that would be what I would kind of add to that.
And the sprouts don't need sunlight, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can just do it in a kitchen, in a jar, in a glass jar, and
Wow.
there you go. It works. It's so easy. There's something else that we don't think about at all, because not everybody grew up in nature, and that is foraging.
Hmm.
There is food everywhere, but we don't recognize it as food. We don't know. So what I would do, and actually I did, is have a book about everything that is edible that you can find. And it is just, it's a part of life. If life is changing and we have to go back more to nature, then that is one of the things that we absolutely have to learn. I mean, it's just a simple survival skill. And it's not something that we want to think of now. It's like, no, I go to the grocery store and I just buy a few things. And yeah, we can grow things even if you barely have a yard, but it's not enough for you to live off. I mean, I have a small yard. I have a whole bunch of plants and bushes and trees and pots. And I was happy with my one strawberry and my one blueberry, and I had one fig already. And I'm looking forward to my new mango tree. I've already been warned that people steal them because it's right at the street, so we shall see. But just think about all these things. They it gives you enough options to get through the winter. Now that made me think about another question that I saw, and it wasn't a longer email, but it was about winter squash. That somebody in Canada, that was a favorite thing to eat in the winter. And yeah, you have to cook it. You can't eat it raw. And it is like, yes, you can eat it raw. And look up just, our infamous Google, just Google it and type in raw vegan squash or winter squash recipes. I looked for it this morning and I found many. And actually, I have eaten a variety of squashes raw, spiralized it, and it works. So yeah, you can eat it raw.
And you can always like blend it up too if you think it's going to be too harsh to chew on. You can blend up some, or lightly steaming it. It's not gonna do a lot of harm to it as well.
Well, what I learned from reading those recipes was that you have to have the right squash, otherwise it can be pretty bad in taste.
Okay.
So it's I can find that well, you will be able to find a recipe. It was interesting because and we all use the zucchinis, and zucchini doesn't have that much taste, and so it's good to use with all kinds of other things and sauces. And if you want to have a great sauce, a very tasty sauce, you use some dried tomatoes. Now, I haven't figured out, and maybe you have, because when I buy organic sun-dried tomatoes, it doesn't tell me there is any salt in it, and yet they do taste salty, and I haven't figured out why that is.
So I think it's just the natural salt in the tomatoes, because tomatoes have a pretty high salt content, and
I didn't know.
when you dry them, they it's concentrated. So I think it's just natural.
Yeah, because you only need very few to make a very tasty sauce. And I found some really good ones that are not very hard, and just put them in water for, say, half an hour to an hour, and then they go in the blender.
Nice. Yeah, I was going to experiment with actually drying some tomatoes in the sun and see how they turn out.
And you haven't done it yet?
I have not done it yet. but I will report back.
Yeah, as long as there is sun, well, you're still in Mexico, so I'm sure there's a lot of sun there.
We got some.
Yeah. Okay, there was a question, and this goes actually a while back, but I hear this a lot, is migraines. And it is something that even when you are on all fruit, it's, yeah, for some people, they still have it. But what is important with even being on all fruit is that you are not dehydrated. And that is the most common cause of headaches, even the real bad headaches, is dehydration.
Mm.
So we spoke about that before. If you are on a juice fast, say that you need about 3 liters of juice and 1 liter of water. And that water you can add lemon to it and maple syrup, and you drink it throughout the day. Just be aware, maple syrup, even though they like to say it's raw, it's not. It's highly processed. But it is delicious, and I haven't seen that it is really mucus forming. So if you have to have it, okay. Another option, if you want to add something sweet, and I've been doing that for, oh my gosh, more than 10 years, is using stevia. And you can actually buy just green, the leaf, the powdered leaf stevia. And it has a rather strong taste, so you only need to use a little bit. Oh, I have to go back to that, what we were talking about, food storage, which I actually forgot. And it is pretty, I can't say it's pretty important, but it's pretty interesting that when you are on all fruits, say that you are for, half a year, you've been eating mostly fruits, some greens, you will find that you're not eating 3 meals a day. You don't do that anymore. And eventually, maybe, like 6 months, a year, that you realize, well, I only need to eat once a day. So you start eating less, and especially once you cleaned up your GI tract completely, your body utilizes the nutrition so much better. And you just feel that you have less need for food. So that is where people have all these cravings. I heard from people that they hadn't eaten for meat for more than a year, and all of a sudden they had a craving for meat. It's like, well, you may have parasites that you want to get rid of. So the cleaner the body is, the less we need.
Yep. And that's, it's just kind of, it's that progression of getting to our body becomes more efficient on what food we do consume and how it processes it. And then as we get cleaner and cleaner, we actually do start, because this is all tied in spiritually as well. And so we start absorbing more energy from the ether, and we start being able to tap into our breath as a source of energy. And so you just need to consume less and less, but it's all that stair step back to our natural state, which is, yeah, we don't have to be consuming all sorts of everything, especially not cooked and all that. But yeah, it's exciting.
It is. The more I was, or the longer I was on the all raw with, probably that was 90% of fruits, it was like amazing how everything worked. And I did it slow to get there. So I didn't have any detox symptoms, and I didn't want to. And but if you have the time to do that, it's an amazing feeling. Now, I do hear many people talk about the emotional detox. I have not experienced that personally, but I do hear a lot about it. Things have come up, things like, the constant crying, the going back to past traumas. And a lot of it has to do with how your adrenals work. And once your adrenals are stronger, you will feel that it is less and less. It's just something, it's easy for me to say, it's just something you have to go through. But that's what it is. Have you experienced that?
You know, sorry, what was the question? What was I'm
Emotional detox.
oh yeah. So no, I didn't experience anything well, it's hard to say because I mean this whole year has been very transitional. So there have been lots of things going on and I guess there could have been some things tied to the shift in consumption, but I can't say I noticed anything in particular that stands out as that. But I have heard plenty of people say they've had, you know, like a bowel movement that was tied to a particular traumatic memory, and as soon as they pass that bowel movement, the trauma released. So I know that there is that tied to it. Which makes sense because we, you know, it's our root chakra. That's where we're grounded and we have our like our base foundational level. So if we've got some blockage in our root chakra, then um, letting go of that is certainly going to unlock a lot of things.
There is something that I almost forgot, and it is actually quite interesting. It is about being an all fruits, and all of a sudden, two teeth start to hurt.
Mm,
Now, we already know that fruit is actually bringing out the weaknesses in the body.
mhm,
And I have a chart, I have to look it up. I have a chart which points directly to which a part of your body that tooth relates. And when I mentioned I was 19 when I had my gallbladder taken out, the way this happened is my daughter was born when I was 18. Yeah, I was a very young mom. And 6 weeks after that, I got my first gallbladder attack. And that was pretty horrendous. And I didn't take pharmaceuticals then and not now. I tried I was going to do the oil part. That was a homeopathic doctor who did that, and it kind of scared me too. But I got to the point where I couldn't even drink a glass of water or I had an attack. So it ended up as an emergency surgery. So that is when they took it out.
mm,
Um, Now, where was I going with this? I was
mhm,
going with the teeth. Yeah.
mm,
At the same time, I had a front tooth, top tooth that was getting bad, really bad. And I found out later that it had to do with gallbladder. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
mm.
So I do have to find that chart. So anyone who is interested in that, you have to shoot me an email and I'll send it to you. Because I hear of a lot of people that have one particular tooth that is hurting. It's almost the same as what you can see in your in the iris. You know, and the same as with your feet, with the pressure points, the things that relate to your organs.
Right.
And now, with the teeth, it's the same thing. So it would be interesting to get this out to people, and so they can see themselves. You know, you have a bad tooth, okay, what could be a weak part in your body? And the best thing, of course, would be to also check within your eyes. I have not, in the last year and a half, I have not focused on the iridology. And I know people keep asking me about it. I am trained as an iridologist. I don't have experience.
Hmm,
And I can see the basic things, you know, the sulfur, the kidneys, and the adrenals, but the other things, and you know how your bowels are doing. And that is easy. I can easily tell people how they can see that themselves. But I do want to take, as soon as my website and Charlie and Colleen's websites are finished, then I'm going to work on my own and focus more on the iridology, because it is so interesting. And
mm,
sometimes, you know, after working with people, and you can easily, even though I have these long form health questionnaires, you can still miss a few things that people don't even realize, you know, is a weakness. I, for instance, didn't know I had a weakness in my lungs until I was told from somebody who read my eyes. I hadn't seen it. But I recently found out I live in a mold-infested house.
Mm. That's exciting.
Not the dogs or the mold.
Oh, the mold. The dogs are exciting too.
Not really.
Yeah.
Not really. We're still figuring out, how to solve this because
Mm.
it's not easy. But, there are always little things that I didn't know I had any lung problems. I don't have problems with deep breathing or any breathing whatsoever. But, you can't have weaknesses and you're not even aware of it. And that is the beauty with the iridology. You can actually see it. And so, yeah, I will start focusing on it. And it's okay. And I can help with people who want iridology. I just have one of my colleague partners read the eyes.
Mm.
So, yeah, it can be done. And for anyone who wants to find out more about their health, you can send me a request for getting the health questionnaire. I can give you a link, but maybe it's too long. Well, I give it to you anyway. It is Toni Weel, which is ToniWeel.com/health/questionnaire.pdf. And you just fill it out. You can fill it out online and then save it and send it to me and we go over it together. I think I've mentioned that before. I don't charge, but a donation is always appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
It's being used to pay it forward. So it's not for my own gain, but we want to help people. I don't know if you have any other questions because I'm done with mine. I think.
I sent you a few other ones, and maybe they didn't come through, but I can read them off. Let's see. Here's one from Lynn Dean. She said, "What is it about steaming vegetables that isn't on the preferred list? Is it a loss of nutrients or does it become acidic?"
I had seen that.
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
we answered that one, and then it's got the winter squash.
Well, we didn't really answer it. Well, actually, in a way, it is that the steamed vegetables just keep more of the nutrition. And the reason, oh yeah, I know what she's referring to. That is the mucus-less foods list that I talked about last week. And this list was put together by Dr. Eric in the long time ago. I don't think people they were not even steaming their veggies. And Professor Spira has put it all together from his information, and I just edited it to an easier format to know what you can eat and drink while you're on a detox, and what to do in a transition or afterwards, where after your detox, you're getting healthier and you want to rebuild more, what you can add to it. Although it was pointed out that actually the rebuilding in the body it's not even done by the greens, it's always the fruits. So.
Yeah, so Lindsay Denny said that she's been on she was prescribed hormone therapy. She's mostly raw, but she has one cooked meal a day. Last month, she decided to take herself off the hormone medication to see if she's healing on the diet. She's still getting hot flashes that are bad during the night. She started taking black cohosh and added some tofu back into her diet to see if that would help curb the hot flashes. She hasn't seen any changes so far. So she's wondering if there's something else that we could recommend that she tries.
Yeah, we have some herbal formulas for that. I did see her email and I apologize to her that I overlooked it. The hot flashes, it will go away when your body balances out more. And I think you need a little help with some herbal formulas. And when talking about the herbal formulas, I get a percentage from Dr. Morse, and I give half away. So you get 15, I keep 15. And so if you want to go over that, I will email you anyway. And we can go over that and see what herbal formulas will help you. Because the hot flashes, when you are on all fruit, it will go away eventually. But in the meantime, it needs a little help. And we can do that.
And then there was a question in the chat about triglycerides. Renee says she's been raw since April, mostly fruit. She's done 2 juice fasts, and her blood work still says she's pre-diabetic and has high triglycerides.
Yeah, what in the world is pre-diabetic? Does it mean that your sugar rating is a little too high? If you have high triglycerides, that means high lipids in your blood. And you know, you're not on fruit or all raw for that long. It just takes a little time. The other thing is, and we have been warned about it, is Dr. Morse mentioned that when you start on all fruit, your blood work will be sometimes off the wall. Sometimes it just doesn't make sense. It's like, why is my cholesterol reading higher than it should be since I'm on all fruit? I wouldn't worry about that too much. And I definitely wouldn't worry if they try to scare us with, oh, you're pre-diabetic, you have to take our chemicals to fix that. You're well on your way on getting healthy and getting rid of this problem. It is, you know, the only thing that you have to keep in mind, if you say like, I'm 80% fruit, what is the rest? If there is any fat in it, try to take it out of your diet. That would be the best thing.
Yep.
And I became diabetic after I got vaccinations that I needed for immigration. I never knew that there could even be a relation to that, but there is. And I had a tough time to keep that under control, even, well, especially when I was still on the all raw with the nuts and the seeds. But if I keep the avocados again, if I keep the avocados out, my blood pressure is absolutely perfect. So it is, you know, see what if you can take out the fats in your diet. And if you want to chat about it and learn more, just, you know, send me an email and we go over it.
Yeah. And again, we have to truly see the big scope of this. When we've spent our entire lives adding toxic material to them, it's going to take some time to normalize and balance out. It's going to be, you know, Charlie mentions it takes 7 years to regenerate your entire body. And so let's just say that we need a 7-year healing process. You know, we need a 7-year timeline to really reset everything. Now, it might not take nearly that long. It might take some people, it depends on where we're coming from and how well we process things and how, you know, just how our body's functioning. But we need to be patient. We need to be patient and allow things to happen as they are and just know that we're doing the right thing and trust. But it is a process, and we do have to, it's not a quick fix. It can't be a quick fix where we're going from a mess to back to health, and it's going to take some work.
Yeah, the thing is, the more you learn about it, the easier it is to understand it all. And don't have the fear or the need, like, oh my gosh, I need to go to a doctor, I have this or this. You know, figure out what caused it. Sometimes it can be as simple as something you ate the day before, and you totally forgot about it. So that is when you're really working hard on healing and transitioning. Start writing things down. Write down what you ate, how you felt emotionally, and what certain foods are doing to you. And that is the best way to overcome the health problems. But write down what you eat. We're still thinking in the way of having all these meals, while it is so simple. You just grab some fruit.
Mm. Yeah, and it's that kind of ties into staying present too. We need to be paying attention to what we're consuming, paying attention to what we're doing and how it's reacting to our body. And it's all about staying present, be conscious. Don't wander through life unconsciously because it leads to a whole mess of issues. Just be
Yeah.
conscious.
And of course, a big part of everything and being healthy and feeling great is
Mhm.
getting the stress out of your life,
Yep.
changing things. Sometimes they are really, really hard to do, but yeah, it's going outside, and I was almost going to say enjoy the rain. I always did, but nowadays I don't know what comes down with the rain, so I'm kind of careful. But then go out in the sun, and not too long, but enjoy the birds. I have this little bird here that makes it, it's like I have 25 different birds, and this little one makes the sound of all of them. It is totally amazing. And
Mockingbird?
no, it's not an no, not no, I don't know what it is. I
Okay.
looked it up years ago, but it keeps coming back, and then sitting in a tree, and then you're listening, and it's like you hear all these different birds, and it's just one little thing.
Nice.
But it is how are you breathing? Do you take time for yourself? It's the meditation, which I'm not really that great in, but yeah.
Well, I always tell people, I think we get too wrapped up in this idea that meditation has to be a specific practice that we set aside and, sit a certain way and, do certain types of mantras or breathings or whatever else, which those can be helpful tools in order to practice. But ultimately, meditation is a state of being to where we're very present. And so whatever you're doing, say you're chopping up a pineapple, be very present with that, with the chopping. Like observe your hands, observe where they are, and don't, if you have a wandering thought come in, observe that thought. And that's that true presence. When we can stay and truly be that observer, that's meditation. And that's the goal, is to make that be an all-encompassing part of it, and where we're not always just kind of aimlessly going wherever our thoughts take us, but always being here and now.
Yeah, and that is the beauty of things, and doing things that you enjoy.
Yep.
And I have a very short story about a pineapple. I had a pineapple growing in my yard, and I was like, okay, it is ripe. It's yellow. I'm gonna eat this tomorrow. So, unfortunately, the critters got it.
Oh no.
It was gone. So I
Oh
still
no.
don't know how a ripe pineapple tastes.
Oh no. Oh,
But they deserve it.
yeah.
Part of my
Uh,
world. So I don't know who ate it. We have raccoons here, and what is the name of these big ones with the not the big ones, but the big teeth?
the possum.
Possums. Oh yeah, we have a lot of possums here. I even
Mm,
had them in the house.
mm.
So they probably ate it, and well, they deserved it.
They
It must have been delicious.
they heard you. They heard you conspiring that you were going to eat it. They're like, all right, we better move quick.
Yeah, it's one day you have it, the next day it's gone.
Mm. Well,
So
next
next
time.
time. All right, we already filled up an hour.
All right. Yeah, this was a great one. I don't have too much left to say. Just thank you all for being here. Thank you, Toni, for being here. And it's always a pleasure spending this time with you and helping out how we can. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. You got anything you want to leave with?
Only if you want to learn more about Dr. Morse, I have a YouTube channel with short video clips. It's Toni Weel, ToniWeel.com/videos, and it leads you directly to YouTube.
Nice.
So,
Cool. Yeah, and just to let everyone know about Friday's show, the Q&A with me and Charlie, it's going to be different this week, where we're not going to have guests on. We're just going to be taking questions about sacred sex. So if you have any questions about sacred sex, please email me at understandingtruth@gmail.com. That's understandingtruth@gmail.com. The email should be in the show notes as well for this show. And that's how we're going to be taking questions for that. So yeah, just wanted to say that. And
Oh, yeah. And it's my email. Do you have that in the show notes?
yes, it should be
Okay.
ToniWeel@gmail.com. It should
Yeah.
be there
All right.
as well. So yeah, for next week, make sure you submit your questions to either myself or Tony. And yeah, we'll get to them like we always do.
Well,
All right.
thanks everybody for being here. Love you all.
Yeah.
And till the next time.
Love you guys. Bye.